Before we get into the video, I wanted to share a special tool that David and I have been using for over 2 years to manage our inventory on Amazon. The tool is called SoStocked, and it is a very powerful tool. It's designed specifically for inventory management. If you're in a physical products business selling on Amazon, you need to be in stock, especially with the inventory restrictions lately. This tool is incredibly powerful. If you're having trouble with inventory management, this might be a tool to help you. SoStocked is partnered with Firing Demand, and they've offered our guests, our listeners, a 30-day free trial. So click the link in the video description to get 30-day free trial. On to the video.
Welcome, everyone, to the Firing Demand podcast. On today's episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with Josh Hadley. Josh is not just the founder and CEO of an 8-figure e-commerce brand. He is also a leading voice in the e-commerce space as the host of the E-com Breakthrough podcast. His professional journey took off at American Airlines Leadership Development Program, fresh from earning an MBA from the University of Utah. While maintaining his corporate career, Josh and his wife co-founded a custom wedding invitation business, leveraging their unique skill sets in the evenings. Recognizing an opportunity in the Amazon marketplace, they strategically pivoted their venture to create a stationary empire, growing their portfolio to over 1,300 products. Josh relishes the rewarding challenge of balancing business growth with family life in Dallas, Texas, raising 3 children while building a successful venture with his wife. He exemplifies the possibility of harmonizing personal fulfillment with professional success. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me here, David and Ken. It's an honor.
Absolutely. So to start things off, can you please share with our audience a little bit about your background and path to founding Hadley Designs?
Yeah, so really it all starts at the young age of when I was like 6, 7, 8, and I was the kid on the corner of the street trying to sell lemonade, candy, soda, snow cones, hot chocolate, like literally like I sold Christmas ornaments, like all from like the corner of the street at my house. Just and what's weird is like my parents were entrepreneurs, like I just had it within me like at a very young age. So that's really where my entrepreneurial career started. But what's funny is like, even when I went to like, when I was going through high school and even into college, like I still never would have considered myself an entrepreneur even at that time. I knew that I loved business, but I had no idea what I was going to do in the business world. I was like, I love business, but I want to lead a business. I'm not an accountant. I'm not just like a marketing person. Like I'm a CEO. There's no CEO courses in college, right? I mean, there's management, behavior, leadership, and stuff like that. But anyway, so when I went to school, one thing I was interested in is finance and investing and money. So I ended up majoring in finance there at the University of Utah. And then I subsequently did my MBA there at the University of Utah. And I did it back to back, which is very abnormal. But I did it because of one thing. I was the co-chairman for what was called the Utah Entrepreneur Challenge. So I ran this organization, which is one of the largest student-run business plan competitions in the nation. Basically, it was like a mini Shark Tank, if you will, but for the state of Utah and college students in the state of Utah. They would come pitch their ideas. We had venture capitalists that would be judges and panelists. Zions Bank, one of the biggest banks there in Utah, would give like the winner $40,000 to like start their business and stuff like that. So it was really fun. It like really got like, I was so involved in that. And I was like, I can't stop doing this, yet I'm going to graduate. So how can I do more school? So I did the MBA. It was a fantastic experience. So that's what gave me a lot of reps in terms of the entrepreneurial ideas. And then, then once I got my job at American Airlines, I still had that entrepreneurial itch. And so we can dive down that rabbit hole. But ultimately, like I just had that thing within me. I can't even explain it at a very young age.
So thanks for sharing the background with us, Josh. It's interesting, yeah, that you started that early. So there's definitely something there ticking that's like, I need to go and do that. And so can you share with the audience maybe one of your first businesses that you started up at? Snow cones, candy, things like that. And then what lessons did you learn from your first business that you carried on?
Yeah. So I'm going to grab, if those who have video, I have a picture right here, okay, of me. I'm in the middle, sitting behind that little desk. That's the earliest known picture of myself that at least my parents could find of selling lemonade. And it was just me, like literally when people were like, hey, what do you want to do? Like when kids would come over and be like, what do you want to do? I was like, let's go sell things. Like that was my level of play as a child, right? Lemonade, I would say, was the first venture. And then I just started doing, snow cones and candy as I got older.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Now, let's take a ride down memory lane. So you're graduating from the MBA program and you take a job at American Airlines. Walk us through your experiences there. And at what point did you start thinking about starting Hadley Designs?
It's a fun story. So I graduate in spring of 2014, okay, with my MBA. I had done the internship with American Airlines the previous year, so I already had received the job offer. I knew I was going to be coming back to American Airlines after I graduated. So as soon as I start working at American Airlines, I'm dead serious. It was literally like the next month, Becca and I, my wife's name, started Hadley Designs. We're like, what's the name of this business that we're going to do? Okay. So it's called Hadley Designs. Now it's a far cry from what we're doing now, but here's what we had done. So over the summer, okay, so I started at American Airlines like August of 2014. Over that summer, we had a break, and I was selling pest control door to door because it was an easy way for me to make money and put a down payment on a house. So that's the reason why we did that over that summer before starting my full-time job at American Airlines. In the meantime, my wife and I, we had just moved from Utah. So we're both originally from Utah, and we had graduated. So we're in this new city. My wife doesn't have a job. She had graduated with a degree in early childhood education at the same time as I did. And she's like, should I go get a job? Or, I've actually been very passionate from a young age of designing things and like artwork. Like she is fantastic with artwork. Don't play Pictionary with her. She'll run circles around you. But she's just very, very talented. And she's like, I've always wanted to do this like graphic design thing. Do you mind if I just like play around with it? And I was like, sure. Like I have a good salary. We don't have many responsibilities. Like go have fun this summer. So she ends up diving into graphic design. She's 100% self-taught. One of the things that comes up is like one of her friends is getting married. And she's like, hey, this would be a fun project for me. Like I'll design your wedding invitations for free, just for free. Like just to give me something to work on for fun as I'm figuring out this graphic design thing. Anyway, she ends up creating her friend's wedding invitation. Her friend comes back and her mom is like, this is so good. Like I have to pay you for it. And Becca's like, oh, you don't need to pay me. Anyways, then that turns into like referrals, right? Where she's like, well, this friend's getting married. Like you could charge her, do her wedding invitations. So me being the entrepreneur, okay, this literally is happening about like August 2014. So I'm just now starting at American Airlines and I'm like, business idea. We can sell wedding invitations. You're so good at wedding invitations. Like, let's blow this thing up. What was it? I want to say at that point, here's what I did. I joined probably over 1,000 different like Facebook groups because I found that's where like a lot of these brides to be, they were going to these Facebook groups. 2014, Facebook was a lot more active then. These groups were really good places. So I joined under my wife's name, right? And then I basically impersonated her the entire time of like, hey, if anybody's searching for wedding invitations, I offer some, blah, blah, blah. And that was how I was fishing for customers. And I then kind of created a process that would be like, all right, yes, tell me what you're interested in, what type of designs, how many. And I had a whole sales funnel. And then I would get people to like place a deposit, and then they would get onto Becca's calendar, and then Becca would then have to design their wedding invitations for them. So it kind of created this process, and then even experimented with Facebook ads. And I took a $500 course on Facebook ads. I was like, all right, let's see if I can figure this thing out. And literally like the first Facebook ad that we test out, like it was like shooting fish in a barrel. It was like, oh my goodness, like I've got endless amounts of leads. So we'll fast forward that point. That gets us very quickly within like a year. Okay. And especially after turning on the Facebook ads, Becca's booked out 6 months in advance. Like to get on Becca's wait list, number one, I keep charging higher prices because I was like, well, we've got plenty of clients, right? And then it was a 6-month waiting list just to work with Becca to design wedding invitations. And at the time, our son, he was born in 2015, summer of 2015. And it was kind of like at that time, like started to dawn on me that it's like, okay, you're like working all hours of the day and so is your wife at this point. That's not going to be sustainable in the future. Something's going to give. And the only way for us to make more money is to work on with more clients. So we had two choices. In order to scale this business, we had to copy and paste Becca 100 different times. Easier said than done, or go hire a bunch of graphic designers that had her level of experience and style and design. I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound fun. Like, I'm not going to go and hire graphic designers and do that song and dance. So at the time, I'd also been, again, even while I was in college, I had always been trying to launch different just businesses. There was actually, while I was in college, tried to do a software as a service for HVAC companies. That's a story in and of itself. I even, e-commerce was a thing. That was like 2012. Had the brilliant idea of sourcing some cheap, like freaking like fashion clothing from China with like berets and stupid crap that I don't even know why I thought that would do well. And I like tried to open up my own storefront. That didn't really do anything. Sold textbooks online on Amazon. So that's where I got my like deal for Amazon, is like the textbooks. I could make a lot of money on just reselling our used textbooks from school. And then I had also taken like a couple courses of like how to sell on Amazon, right? There was one product that we looked at testing, which was like a waiter pad. So if you go to like a restaurant, like the servers, they have like a pad of paper and like a little notebook, right? So I was like, that's my idea. So we took this idea and we were going to like make it like customized waiter pads or whatever. And we do get it launched. And then like within like 3 months, I'm getting knocked off by Chinese competitors and like sales go down. I was like, well, this sucks. Like, this isn't all that it's cracked up to be, but it gave me a lot of reps. And so here's what I would love to just interject with this like story here is that you're going to hear, never once did I use the word I failed, but like all of those, technically, if you want to call them, like they were failures. Like that fashion business didn't go anywhere. The HVAC service business didn't necessarily go anywhere, but I didn't put a lot of time and effort to it. But I got a lot of reps. I got a lot of reps doing a lot of different things. And my favorite analogy is this. It's like when you go fishing, okay? If you go fishing, you have no idea, A, where the fish are, unless you're using a fish finder, but let's say you're not, okay? You don't know where the fish are and you don't know what the fish are eating. So what do you have to do? You're going to go travel down the bank and you're going to put in a pole and you're going to put in some bait over here and you're going to go walk another 20 yards, put in another pole, put some bait, put some different bait on that. And you're just going to go up and down until you find something that's working. Then when you find something that's working, then you're like, fish are loving the worm and marshmallow today. So all the poles get worm and marshmallow. Let's see how that happens, or let's see how that works. And so what I did see with Amazon is that this was a massive flywheel if you could get it going. And so I had some touches on Amazon, had some mild success, let's say, on it, but I just never stopped. I never gave up and just kept going. Like, I want to find something. And this is all while I'm working a full-time job at American Airlines, by the way, right? This wedding invitation business, we learned that it needed to be scalable. So I had the idea of there were these recipe cards that these brides would keep asking for. Okay, so after we designed their wedding invitations, they're like, can you create some recipe cards for my bridal shower? And I was like, that's really weird, but you're definitely not going to pay for custom designed recipe cards as much as you would wedding invitations. So no, we're not doing that. But maybe I could offer some hacks of standard designs that we've already designed that people could buy. So that was our first product on Amazon, was recipe cards. And we did like 3 different SKUs. We sold out within the first 3 months. And I was like, okay, that's it. We're all in. So that was the fall of 2016. Beginning of 2017, we said, we're all in on this Amazon thing. We stopped taking wedding clients. And we went all in. We did over $1 million our first year on Amazon just because we saw like more products. The more products we launched, the more we could make. And here we are today, fast forward 7 years. And, we've got an 8-figure brand and 1,300 plus products. And that's where we're at today.
Nice. Now, Josh, so that's an incredible story. And I really like that analogy of fishing. It's kind of like you're testing, then you're kind of just zeroing in on what's working and then put out more of what's working and go from there. So it's a great analogy. Now, the show is called Firing Demand. And so, at the time you were working at American Airlines, can you share with like your exit plan from American Airlines and kind of how do you regret not leaving earlier? Was it good timing and how that went?
Yeah, great question. So I knew probably 3 months into the job that I was like, yeah, I'm not cut out for this corporate life. But I ended up staying there for 5 years, and I'll tell you why. I learned really early on that I was like, this whole corporate thing, everything moves so slowly, the red tape. And as we can look back and see, like, I had this burning desire from a young age to just run my own business anyways, right? So that's why, the nice part about American Airlines is that I was able to scratch that entrepreneurial itch in the evenings while my wife and I created Hadley Designs, the custom wedding invitation business to begin with, right? And then that within the first year, like I was matching the same salary that I was getting at American Airlines. However, we continued to reinvest that money into the business to allow it to grow. One of my mentors there from the University of Utah, he probably put it the best way is like, your job at American Airlines is your venture funding for your future entrepreneurial ventures and a lot of leadership development and understanding how large corporations run and operate. Because I'm not just going to be a solopreneur. I have big ambitions in my life and I want to lead and guide a team. And so the time that I did spend at American Airlines, although I feel like I could have jumped ship within the first year if I wanted to, it was allowing me to continue to fund my business and not take money out of the business. I was able to just reinvest it to allow it to grow while living off of our salary from American Airlines. In addition to that, I was learning excellent leadership, business principles, how the politics work in these bigger corporations, which is like, you can't understand it unless you're just living in it and experiencing it. And so that was valuable in and of itself. There were added perks, obviously. I mean, I was flying for free, so that was a sweet perk. So that was hard to be like, hey, are we ready to say no to flying to Hawaii for free? We went to Korea for free. We did lots of free trips. At the same token, my last role at American Airlines before I did leave, I was a sales rep and I was already working from home. This is pre-COVID, so that was like literally unheard of at the time. I was working from home, visiting clients and, negotiating their contracts with their airfares with American and stuff like that. And one of my added perks is like, I would need to go wine and dine people. So I would go sit at the first row at the Rangers baseball games. I would go sit in the fifth row, middle of the ice at the Stars hockey games and the Mavericks and the Cowboys games. And I love sports. So I was like, ooh, man, these perks are really hard to give up. So because I was working from home, because it was remote, I could still run our business at the same time. And so I milked it literally until like I felt like, okay, this business that, me working at American Airlines is truly hindering the growth of our business. And so to share revenue numbers, like we were already doing $5 million in revenue before I pulled the ripcord at American Airlines.
There's a ton of good lessons in there. And I think a couple that really stand out to me was the advice that your professor gave you. I've never heard it phrased that way, but that is your job is your venture funds. I really like that. And another one that stands out to me is that you built a very well-established business before pulling the cord. And I think that's something that a lot of people may get anxious or have a bad day at work and say, I'm out of here, I'm starting my own business. And those first couple months are slow. And there's a lot of time invested before the money comes. And so outstanding story, and thank you for sharing. So let's get into Amazon. And this is one of the reasons we really wanted to have you on as a guest. We've heard you speak on Amazon a lot. And so why don't we start here? The Amazon marketplace has experienced a lot of changes over the last 2 to 3 years that have created some new challenges for third-party sellers. So what should Amazon third-party sellers do in the next year to 3 years to stay ahead of the curve and thrive in this new environment?
Really good question. The Amazon of today is not the Amazon of 2017, 2018 by any means. Here's my prediction. Over the next 3 to 5 years, over the 10 years, you're going to see very, very few courses that are pitching start your business on Amazon and kick back, relax, and enjoy $1 million paydays all day long. That already doesn't happen now. It's ironic that those courses even still sell in today's environment. But yeah, you're right. Like Amazon is harder today than it was in 2017. But guess what? Amazon is going to be harder in 2028 than it is in 2024. So here would be my recommendations. What do you do? Amazon's getting harder. Do you just run away from it? And you're like, this is too complicated. I can't do this. No, you need to double down in your business. And I listen to a lot of like Alex Ramosi, one of the things I love, he had an episode where he talked about like when things get hard, you should say good, right? Because when it's hard, guess what the weak are not going to do? They're not going to move forward, right? When it gets hard, there's more obstacles, there's more challenges to climb and overcome. And most people are too lazy to do it, right? And so to me, the good news is I'm already on Amazon. That moat of getting on Amazon is getting bigger. It's getting harder. And so I lean into that and say that's good. Now, what that does require, so recommendations to anybody currently on Amazon is this: operational efficiency is going to be the life and death of your business at this point. You've got to become profit first in your business, which is like, hey guys, like the revenue vanity metrics, like who cares whether your business does $10 million a year? Because guess what? I've heard people that are doing $10 million a year and they're making no profit. Instead, they have a bunch of loans that are past due and they're just trying to climb their way out of this debt spiral. There is simplicity with having a small $3, $4, $5 million business that's more than taking care of your bills, right? And not worrying about that. But in order to survive, you've got to get really good with your supply chain. And with Amazon's fee structure now, basically they are force feeding you and saying, if you're not going to be perfect with your inventory projections, we're going to screw you over and we're going to make sure you pay for it. And so you've got to get good. And so if you're not the supply chain person and you don't love that, which I don't, then you need to go find the right who that can do that for you.
Really, really good advice. One thing that you said was profit first, and I'd like to dig into the economics of that a little bit. So when you are launching a product or you're looking at a portfolio of prospective products, do you have any rules of thumb that you use as it relates to landed cost for sales price, or how does somebody take steps to be a profit first company?
Yeah, 100%. So it all happens when you buy the product, right? That's where the money is made, is in the sourcing of the product at the best cost, but also knowing what you're going to be able to charge for this. So some mistakes that I've made, right, is here's what's interesting on Amazon. Most Amazon categories, guess what happens during peak seasons? They raise their prices, right? Which is interesting because in the retail world, almost the opposite happens. In the retail world during Q4, you see a lot of sales happen. Now, yes, you see that over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, etc. But in general, if you look at it and you can go look at like the Keepa graphs, right? Like people will just raise their prices. On Amazon, it's the weird, like you do not want to buy a seasonal product during peak season because you're going to get gouged. I've learned that lesson the hard way because I've looked at seasonal products. And I was like, oh, wow, this is selling for a lot of money. And I could go make a lot of money in this area. And then by the time the product comes in 3 months later, the price is at half of what it was when I first looked at it. I was like, oh, crap, what happened? So my rule of thumb is like, you've got to be at least 5X whatever your product landed costs are. 5X is what we shoot for at a minimum.
No, that's an excellent metric. Like, I definitely agree. Profit first is like, you're talking about operational efficiencies is a way to succeed in the future of Amazon because it's getting harder. So one of the ways, you can source a product cheaper. You can also optimize your listing and increase conversion rates. What are some of the things that you're doing or that you recommend to others how to optimize a listing and how to work on conversion rates, improve those conversion rates?
Yeah, great question. So, a lot of people, one of the hot topics always is like Amazon PPC. What do I need to be doing in PPC? And what's the magic there to lower my ACOS or my tacos number and things like that? But do you know where it all starts? It all starts with your listing. And that's what you keyed on there, right? Because if you have a good conversion rate, if you improve that an extra couple percentage points, going to make your ads that more efficient, right? And so make sure you focus on the fundamentals first, which is having a really good product listing. So let's break down like what adds up to a really good product listing. Well, your first main image, that main image is crucial. That's your bread and butter. And so here's the process that our team uses. For every new product we get into, we have a graphic designer that will create 15 different main image options. Now, this person is sourcing ideas, and one of the best strategies and tips is to go look at kind of like not unrelated, but like different product categories, right? If I'm selling a vacuum cleaner, as an example, I could go take a look look and see what are people doing when they sell tumblers or mugs, and how are they featuring their products? Because a lot of us, like, you just look at like, oh, I'm selling a vacuum cleaner, so I just need to compete against these vacuum cleaners. But if you branch out and you think of like, you just get new and completely different, maybe even some wild and wacky ideas from completely different product categories, that's what allows you to like really win and bring a lot of new, fresh and unique perspectives that can really increase your click-through rate. So that's what my graphic designer will do, and go find 15 different ideas. Then we are going to then test those ideas through different testing software, whether it be Product Pinion, PickFu, and we're going to then put it up for vote, and people are going to vote which main image do they think is the most compelling. So at the end of the day, then we're going to take our top 4 or 5, and then we're going to then test those live on Amazon. So the first day when that product goes live is like, all right, here's main image A, let's let it run for 2 weeks, and then we're going to upload main image B and let that run for 2 weeks, and then main image C and D. And guess what I'm measuring? During those 2-week time periods, the only traffic really going to that listing, because it's so new, is advertising traffic. So I can just look very succinctly at my advertising data, say, what's my click-through rate? Wow, see, I was crushing it this week when I had version A as my main image, or was it when version C? And so you're just looking for your main image specifically. How do you know if it's the winning main image? Click-through rate. And it's the show-stopping, eye-catching aspect in order to have people stop, click on your listing to learn more. Then your secondary images are crucial, because those are what have to sell the product. And in your secondary images, nobody cares. Like for our paper, nobody cares about how the paper is. Nobody cares about that it's a 10-point cardstock. People don't even know what 100-pound 10-point cardstock or what the difference is. So don't tell them it. Nobody cares about it. But do you know what people do care about? So if they're buying one of my, let's say it's the recipe card for their bridal shower, create an unforgettable bridal shower. Create unforgettable memories with these recipe cards, right? Like if you serve, like, what is the true customer need? Why are they using a recipe card at a bridal shower? Well, there's something sentimental about that. They want these mother-in-laws and mothers to share their recipes so that they could be passed down for generations. Make sure your recipes are never forgotten for generations to come, right? If you speak to your target audience the right way, and you're not just blabbering on of like, this is premium quality, who cares? That should be a given. But speak to their emotional needs. And obviously you do need to describe your product. Like we'll give product dimensions and, made in the USA. Now that's relevant stuff, but we really, really lean into like those emotional statements that are benefits to the customer, right? Not product features. That's how we sell it. And then we use the bullets in the description, because nobody freaking reads those things. And I can tell you that because of all the customer service inquiries. I can prove that nobody reads. We use that 100% for SEO purposes, right? There's a method to the madness of how keywords get ranked in Amazon's algorithm, and the title's the most important, followed by the bullets, then the description and your back-end keywords. And that's the bread and butter. And so, yeah, we really don't like amp up ads until we feel like we've kind of got things dialed in for that product listing.
One follow-up question on that. What is your, for your company, what is your target conversion rate for a product? Do you have like a minimum or that you try to shoot for?
Another great question. And here's what I would say, so many people love to throw out generic numbers, right? And assume that these apply to all categories. And technically we're in like 90 different product categories on Amazon, 1,300 different SKUs. Our conversion rates are all over the place. We have some products that are at 20%. I've got some products where a 3% conversion rate is better than the market average. So here's how you know whether you're winning or you're losing against the market average. So in your advertising console, go to, I think it has like the heart icon on it on the left-hand side. Anyways, click around until you're going to see brand metrics. Click on brand metrics, and then you can dial in. You want to go like category deep, and it will show you, here's the best competitor, here's the top conversion rate, the best performing competitor, what their conversion rate is. It will give you the market average for that category, and then it will give you your brand's performance. So very quickly, you can see, am I winning, am I losing? You could then layer that in with SQP data, search query performance, right? You could layer that in. And so I have a whole team that's dedicated to data analysis and things like that they run all of that. A very wide spectrum, right? So just because you hear somebody doing, well, my conversion rate's 15%, yours is 3%, dude, you're doing something terribly wrong. It's like, no, I'm not. Like, categories are very different. So just be aware of that.
That's really good feedback. And yeah, we have a lot of variation across our brands, and I was not aware of that feature in the advertising console. So we'll definitely be checking that out. I think what you laid out for improving conversion rates and having an awesome listing is outstanding. Really, really good nuggets of information there. In addition to having a really good performing listing, are there any other tips that you have for a product launch that go beyond the listing?
For a product launch, really, there's no secret sauce. We've been running kind of the same product launch formula since we launched on Amazon, and that has always been running exact match keyword ads from day one. So that's the main difference. And I think a lot of people, I think it's the old school method of advertising, which is, hey, I need to turn on all my auto campaigns, turn on all my broad campaigns, let Amazon do its thing. I'm going to funnel out, and sift through whatever keywords are working. Then I'll move those into their exact match campaigns. That's like the old process of doing PPC, at least in my opinion. The better way, good grief, there are so many tools now that you can already from day one start with the right keywords for your listing that should be providing really good conversion rates and sending all the right signals to Amazon. Because if you just light up an auto campaign on day one, Amazon's like, okay, I have no idea. I'm just going to advertise you to everything I can think of. I have no sales history with you. I have no other advertising history with you. So let's go spend your money. And so, it's a waste of money, and there's better precision. And we've also seen like quicker ranking. If you just tell Amazon, like, this is my product, these are the keywords I want you to rank me on, these are what I'm advertising for, it's 10 times easier. So the way that we do this is we'll grab our top 10 competitors. We'll upload them to Helium 10, to Cerebro, and then we're going to download all of the different like keywords that those products, those 10 competitors, are ranking on page one. And that's a fairly easy process. You should be able to follow that. Then we're going to take all of those keywords. Sometimes you might be looking at 2,000, 3,000 different keywords. I have a team member that goes through and manually types in each of those keywords into Amazon. And then we're going to categorize every keyword into one of the following 4 buckets. Number 1, a shop keyword. A shop keyword is something that when you search for it, literally 75% or greater of the results on that listing or on page 1 are like for like competitors. A good analogy of this is like a snorkel mask, right? So if you're going to go snorkeling and you want some snorkel gear and you want it tied in with the mask, you don't want to be finding a bunch of like fins and just random goggles and swimming pool toys on that keyword when you type it in, right? You want, like, when I search that keyword, only snorkel masks, 75% of them are just these snorkel masks. That's a shop keyword. Hyper relevant, typically long tail keywords, okay? Then we go to semi-shop keywords. This is where you're going to have like 50-50 of the results. 50% of them are like for like competitors. 50% could be like the diving toys or a little bit more browsy, right? And so then we're going to go to browse specific as a category. That's going to be where, all right, more than 25% of these listings on this page are, relevant competitors. So it's a fairly relevant keyword. And then our final category is browse. This would be a keyword such as like cruise essentials, essentials for cruising. And it's like, yes, bring some snorkel gear on a cruise. You could be ranked. And so is it a relevant keyword? Technically, but it's a browsy keyword. And we know for our browse keywords, probably lots of search volume, but good luck getting ranked for them. We will classify them as a browse keyword if we see 1 or 2 competitors that are at least showing up on page 1. It means it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm not going to tie myself into that keyword and be like, oh, this rides or dies on the success of this keyword. So we start on day 1 launching exact match single keyword campaigns. And that's been kind of like our strategy that continues to perform really, really well. We don't send external traffic. There's no other secrets. It's light up the right keywords and let Amazon do its thing.
I feel like we could probably spend several more hours on this topic.
So Josh, for all the guests that we have on the show, we run them through the ringer. It's called the fire round. Are you ready?
Awesome. Let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
All right. What is your favorite book?
I'm going to give you 2 of my favorite books. Number 1, it's going to be the Book of Mormon, because that is my foundation, my belief, my faith in Christ. All good things have happened in my life because of him. My second book that I would recommend, business-wise, most game-changing book, is going to be what's called The One Thing. That book helps you prioritize and understand what's urgent, what's important, and letting the minutia go, because way too many entrepreneurs get caught in the thick of thin things.
Excellent. I like that one. I haven't read that book up, just put it on my list. Next question. What are your hobbies?
I play hockey in an old men's league. So if you're in the DFW area and you want some really good entertainment, and it's not very good entertainment, on a late Friday night, 10:30 p.m., maybe 11 p.m. start time, you'll find me at the ice rink, slugging it out with a bunch of 40, 50-year-old guys that feel like we know how to play hockey.
That's awesome. That sounds like fun. That's a great workout too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I can't even stand up on skates. Next question. What is the one thing that you do not miss about working for the man?
Man, it's having the freedom of my own time and not being able to go. I coach my son's basketball team. I coach my son's hockey team. I coach my son's baseball team. And then I attend all of his flag football events. I would not be able to do all of those things if I were working for the man.
Yeah, those are crucial. Great memories. Last question. What do you think sets apart successful e-commerce entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
The one word that you used just at the beginning, it's giving up. You never fail until you give up or until you quit. That's what I try to instill within my son and my daughters as well, is that, guess what? Life's going to be hard. Building a business, and you look at me and it's like, oh, man, this guy's got everything going for him right now, right? And it's like, everybody's got their own issues, and it's not sunshine and rainbows. We are where we're at because we never gave up. We didn't share this part of the story, but in 2020, this is 6 months after I left American Airlines, my business dropped 90% overnight when COVID happened. Because what were we selling? A lot of things related to events and parties and weddings. And what went away during that year? Everything related to events, parties, and weddings, right? And so guess what? We survived. It was not easy, and it was scary. It was some of the hardest challenges that I have gone through. And, I still battle with other challenges that pop up now. And so just get used to it. Hard is good. When the hard times come, you need to say good, because the weak ones are going to give up.
Excellent advice.
Absolutely. Josh, this has been a really fun podcast. If people are interested in hearing more from you or getting in touch, what would be the best way?
Yeah, so you can, follow my own podcast, Ecom Breakthrough. That's Ecom with 2 M's. You could also reach out, email me if you have any questions on what we talked about today at josh@ecombreakthrough.com. Always happy to hear from other sellers and helping them out in their own journey.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Firing Man podcast, and we're looking forward to staying in touch.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks for watching this video. If you got some value out of this, would you please hit the like and subscribe button? This is a free way to support the show, and it really helps us build our audience.